Hello and welcome to It's All About You, the best show about you on the internet. I am B. Dave Walters, life, relationships, and spiritual coach. This is episode number 36, Psychics. And like always, I'm going to start off with a quote. Condemnation without investigation is the height of ignorance. This is by Albert Einstein. Condemnation without investigation is the height of ignorance. This is by Albert Einstein. So, psychics. This comes up a lot. That people either ask me what I think about psychics, ask me if I am psychic, or more importantly and more often, tell me that the reason why they're staying in bad situations or bad relationships and things of that nature is because the psychic told me he loves me. So let's talk about this now. Well, first and foremost, yes, I do believe in psychics. There's not many things that I don't believe in, though, because I kind of understand this whole universe is one big interwoven system. So there's lots of different ways to make use of it and tap into the information inside of it. But because a certain phenomenon is possible does not mean that the guy in the booth in the strip mall is a psychic and can really do this. I don't know. For me personally, I can tell you that, yeah, I'm naturally intuitive. I have a sense of how people feel. I can pick up on emotions very clearly. And quite often I understand how they think, too. But you got to realize, I've also spent years learning consciously how to understand how people think and understand how people feel. So for me, when I'm talking to somebody, even I don't know if I'm getting this information from you because of the words you're using, because of the tone of your voice if we're talking, because of what I know from the past, or if I am picking up some sort of extrasensory thing. Even I don't know. And guess what? I don't care. Because here's the thing. I'm going to show you guys in part 2 of this, by the way, how to actually tap into some of your own abilities and be able to experience this firsthand so you can see what I'm talking about. But the key to it is you have to stay relaxed, you have to stay fun. If you want it to work, if you want to actually have any kind of significant experience, you have to stay relaxed about it. Because when you start stressing and putting a lot of judgment into it, that's when things really go wrong. Now, let me talk to the people, assuming you're still with me, that think all of this is a bunch of hogwash. Because basically there's 2 types of people that reject this sort of thing out of hand. 2. Ultra-skeptic types that reject everything, and ultra-religious types that think it's some sort of a sin. So let me address the sin argument first. That even if we're capable of doing these things, if we're capable of seeing the future, or reading someone's mind, or communicating without words, or any of that stuff, that is somehow bad. To which I say, who gave us this ability? Who gave us this brain that could do these things, if not our Creator? And if our Creator gave us these capabilities, why are we not meant to make use of them? That's like saying, yes, you could see the future, but just don't, is like saying, yes, you're capable of learning language and how to drive a car, you just shouldn't. It doesn't really make any sense to me. And even in the Bible, when there's mentions of this, the only time people get into trouble is when they try and make use of oracles or whatever in a way to override or circumvent God. If you're saying, I'm not going to listen to God because I'm going to the tarot card reader, then yeah, that's probably going to get you into trouble. But if you're just looking at this as another talent, another capability that you've been gifted by your Creator with to use to your greater good and to your Creator's greater glory, then good times. Now, for my skeptics, we've talked about this before. E equals MC squared. Energy, mass, it's all the same thing. It only varies by the rate of vibration. The fact is, there is no difference between you and I. Even though you're watching this at a different time than I recorded it, you and I are actually still connected at this exact second, right? The division between us is an illusion. It's an artifact of our consciousness and our perception. So the fact is, you and I are already connected. You and I are already one. The past, the present, and the future all exist simultaneously. So yeah, you should be able to get access to information. You just have to figure out how to do it, which we're going to talk about. Now, as for my brothers and sisters, and to be honest, it's mostly my sisters, that say things like, yes, I know he says he doesn't want to marry me, but the psychic said we are going to get married, so I'm going to keep chasing him. I've kind of caught some flack from when I said that if you're paying a person, then you should be skeptical of what it is they're telling you. So let me clarify this. Yes, a given psychic or tarot card reader or whatever has absolutely every right to charge you for their time, charge you for their expertise. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, you know how with newspapers, you ever heard the statement, if it bleeds, it leads? That they put the bad news on the front page because that's what keeps you interested? If you walk in and you sit down and you're like, hey, Mr. Psychic, is he going to marry me? Now, the psychic has a choice to make. The psychic can say no, and you're going to get up and walk out the door, right? Or they can say, maybe. Signs point to yes. Let's see. At some point in the future, this might happen. And then it gets, suspect. For the most part, if your reading is way too good or way too bad, especially if they say you're like cursed or something and I'll take this curse off of you if you'll pay me for it, that's a big red flag, okay? And more importantly, the absolute best psychics in the world, the remote viewers that were trained by the government, are 80% accurate. Okay, so they may 100% see this, 100% believe it, 100% mean it, and still have it be not true. Especially when it comes to seeing the future, anything more than about 30 days out, who's this calling? I'll call you back. Anything more than about 30 days out, your accuracy goes way, way down. Because it's just like Yoda said, always in motion the future is. Things are always changing. So it's very hard to see what's going to happen. Then the further you look, the least likely it becomes. And even if the psychic tells you, I see you getting married, I see you being happy, I see you having kids, that doesn't mean you're going to be married and be happy and have kids with him. That's the thing. Unless the psychic's like, hey, I see you with Steve Johnson from New York City, and you guys are going to have 2.3 kids by July 17th, 2014, that might not be what they're talking about. And by the way, they almost certainly cannot tell you that. Because this is one of the things about psychic phenomenon that I'm going to explain when we try it here in the part 2. It's not very specific. It's not. It works from the same part of your brain that your dreams come from. And because of that, it can be symbolic, it can be intuitive, it can be hazy, it can be weird. It's not going to be literal. 99.9% of the time, you're not going to be able to see lottery numbers because the part of your brain that is seeing it can't read, right? So, but I don't want to get too far off topic. So I'm talking about listening to the psychic then. So, if you're going to this psychic and you've got one that you trust, you've got one that you respect, then just take what they say and weigh it along with everybody else. They are just another source of information. They are not a primary source of information. Does that make sense? Weigh it against what your mom tells you, what your best friend tells you, what your coach tells you. And more importantly, weigh it against what this other person is telling you. Because even if they bear all of this love for you, even if they think you're their soulmate, and yet they're mean to you and call you names and put you down and treat you harshly, you still don't have a relationship. Okay? You still don't have a relationship. So it doesn't really matter whether or not they say it's going to happen in the future, because if it's meant to happen in the future, it will. If he or she is going to snap out of it and decide, oh my God, I really do love you, and come back, they're going to come back either way. What you got to do then is move on with your life. Keep doing what you need to do. Pursue new things, pursue new people, pursue new horizons. And if it's meant to be, it will. Does that make sense? So, talk to the psychic if you like. Talk to the tarot card reader if you like. In fact, I'm going to talk about tarot cards also in the next segment. But the things I want to get across here are the most important things. One, yes, it is possible. Again, I only touched on it. Look into the work of Rupert Sheldrake. He's done a lot of good stuff with this. 2, it is not a sin. Why would it be? Because it is our own God-given capability. 3, it is absolute 100% best 80% effective. And most psychics are way, way, way less than that. And 4, they should not get an unusual weighting when you're looking into the future. The reason why, by the way, the reason why you give them such emphasis is because they're telling you what you want to hear. If everybody's saying he's never going to marry you, yes, she is cheating on you, and the psychic is like, yes, he will marry you, no, you won't cheat, then yeah, you're going to pay attention to what they're saying because they're saying what you want to hear. Okay? So weigh it all together. And more importantly, you use your own brain, your own eyes, your own heart to make the decision. All right, part 2, we're going to have some fun. So everybody on YouTube, watch part 2. Everybody else, stay with me.